And then this folder could be anywhere. I'm just creating it on the C drive. That's what I referenced in my database. Okay. Minimize all that. Let's bring this back up. Now, attaching files to the system, one thing that's really nice is that I can use a process here for attaching documents to the database. As long as I've done this correctly, I shouldn't have a problem. Crossing my fingers here. Okay, we're good. Attachment process complete. I'm good to go. Anyone who has access to the database now has access to the documents attached to each project. Okay. So it's a nice way of linking other files to the database. It's not just database files, not just PDF files. I can do Excel documents as well. So we can link anything we want to this project. Anyone viewing the project can go and view that information. Okay? I hope that makes sense. And this does require a little bit of ingenuity. I'm not saying that this is something out of the box, but that's the beauty of a database system. You're limited only by your creativity. Last little piece that I want to talk about is this idea of charting, reporting, we'll say. We're familiar with charting in Excel. I'm not going to go into in-depth here of the technical side of things, but one thing that we are limited to, I mentioned it earlier, is the data sets that we chart. Right now, I have to be very specific. I want these rows to be charted in this chart object. Okay. If I add to it or if I remove from it, it still will chart that information. Okay. Now, I'm not going to deny, I'll say this right now, I'm not going to deny that there are some extremely powerful and nice looking charts in Excel. Right? We can do some things that are really nice to look at. Area, scatter, bar, even some kind of strange surface and donut, and even the radar graphs, right? The spiderweb radar graphs. I'm not going to deny that. Excel is fantastic for that. FileMaker does have charting available, though, and it's a little bit stronger in the sense that the data sets that I'm allowed to chart are more powerful. In this example here, when I added a new month here, 12/1/2010, I put in my values, right? 19 million, 123. My budget, my expense maybe was 22 million, right? So I went a little bit over. 123. It's not charted right away. Okay, I have to redefine this chart, and even if I do a little bit of preparation for this, if I go outside of that, it's not charted right away. So, what about in FileMaker? 12/1. Let's say, use those same numbers. My budget is 19 million, 123, and my expense is 22 million, so 123. Charted right away. Okay. Because of the power of the charting engine, it works with data sets rather than columns and rows. Okay, so regardless of how many I have here, I could keep going, or I could remove, and the chart will update. Okay. Now the charting, I'm not going to deny that it's a little bit more complex. And it's a little bit more complex because we've got more data sets to report on. We're not just doing rows and columns. So it gives us a little bit more control. The downside, I'm not going to upsell you on the charting here in FileMaker, because you have to understand that there are some limitations to the charting. We don't have all of those cool radar graphs and scatter graphs, right? By default. We've got to think a little bit outside of the box to get those in FileMaker, which we won't talk about today. So last thing I want to show you is a concept of reporting. So I've got some charts. That's cool. I can report on these. Interesting thing about these charts is that I can copy them and I can paste them into other applications. For example, here, let's say that I wanted to go over to Microsoft Word. I want this chart. I want to put it in one of my reports. Okay. I can paste the chart in. It's a graphic object. So at that point, it's flexible enough for me to put it into other programs. Okay. And it's just similar to a JPEG, right, or a GIF or something like that. It's just an image. In FileMaker, however, it continues to be a live system, so if need be, I can add in my January 2011 record, and that will be reported on in the chart immediately. So one way of reporting. Another way of reporting that's very popular with FileMaker is this concept of running summary reports. Now, in this example, I'm running a project summary. I want to see all the projects I was looking at, all right, in my found set 6 over here. I want to see the primary tasks and the completion statuses of these subtasks, okay? Very easy to build, okay? Very powerful, shows a lot of information. One thing that I can do is if I run this report with a little bit of, again, ingenuity, I can do some things like build in some control. Use my arrow keys to navigate through the reports, print the reports, right, just with a couple of keys. I can email the reports if I want to run an email script. Go ahead and send it to this person and so forth and so on. Okay. So it gives me a lot of control. And that's what we want to emphasize in this webinar is databases will offer you a lot more control over your data. How do I want to view the data? How do I want to work with the data? We talked about that concept of lists. I want to see a list of all of my projects. Well, here it is. But the beauty of a relational system, I don't have to look at just projects. I can look at some engineering priorities, some look-aheads, maybe some interest actions, and I can even build in some color-coded statuses, right, because we're working with a more graphical engine. And as we said before, this is on schedule. It's on schedule. This stuff is updated as I change it. Right? So, as I mentioned before, the database system is going to give you not only more control, we've already said that, it gives you a lot of control, but comfort, saves you time. Okay, we can do things. Just take a look at this for 1 second before we end here and we set up the Q&A. I'm comfortable with Excel. I like the table formats. So why not look at information in a table format? Okay, FileMaker will let you do that. And it's formatted as a spreadsheet. Okay. But I'm more of a graphical person, so I like looking at things in a form. I like being able to see color codes of things. I like to use these little links to jump to various places, okay, and see all of the related information. So we always talk about this relationship style. That's what databases are going to offer for you. Relating data, saying that this data is linked to this data. Control. It's my data. I'd like to play with it a little bit, right? So I'm going to open the floor for Q&A here. We'll go ahead and set it up here. Now I've got some organizers that are doing some Q&A questions, I think, online. So let's see what they've got for me.
Samir, I want to thank you for your excellent presentation. And what I'd like to do now is do a quick wrap up, and then we're obviously going to jump into our Q&A. Couple things. If you want to contact us, you can always contact us at www.anvildataworks.com, and our sales phone number is 240-425-4426. A couple other things I just want to let you know is to get started, we will be sending everyone on the webinar an email with our contact information, a web link to download a free 30-day trial copy of FileMaker 11 database. And also in that email, you'll to a free training seminar that we'll be hosting. So I will now jump in, and we'll start the Q&A period. A couple questions we have. Samir, are you on the line?
I am still here.
But I've got, okay, good. I've got a question here. This is definitely for you. It says here, hello, I am using FileMaker 10 and Excel 2007. As you know, Excel 2007 doesn't have the 65,000 data limit. However, when I tried to export data from FileMaker 10 to Excel, it cut me off. It won't allow exporting more than 65,000 must-be records, and the same when importing more than 65,000 from Excel to FileMaker 10. Any idea?
One thing that I might consider, since it's a limitation and not necessarily an issue, is just work around it. Split it up into 2 separate exports, maybe. The other option here is to use a different format. So instead of exporting directly to Excel, maybe exporting as a CSV, comma-separated file, and then importing that into Excel, or opening that up in Excel.
Great. Okay, another question came in. It says, are these databases accessible from the computer where they are downloaded, or are they online? I'm not sure if that question is talking about our sample files, but with FileMaker, you can actually not only have your database on your own machine, but we have a server option where you can actually put it on a server, so it could be hosted and shared by multiple users. And within the data solution, we can also actually publish it to the web. So I'm not sure if I answered that question, but that's how I interpreted it. Let's see. Let's see what else I've got here.